So I get people asking me why I do research, trying to find evidence for the existence of God, trying to learn more about religions, why I ask people on the internet why I should believe in God and interact with the world on the matter, rather than look inward and ask God to reveal himself and meditate and find him in an inward fashion. Because a lot of people who claim to believe in God also claim to have some kind of connection where they can communicate with him in some way, where he speaks to them internally or helps guide their thoughts or actions or things like that. I used to be the same way. I used to believe that that's true, so I understand how people can understand that that's how things happen. But here's a couple problems with that. The main one being, who is interacting with you and how do you know? How do you know that God's interacting with you? When you have this feeling or hear this voice or see this sign, how do you know it's God? Because first off, you have a head voice. And your head voice can sound like a lot of different things. And it can be mistaken as some kind of other voice speaking to you. And this isn't you being crazy. This isn't you hearing voices. This is just mistaking your head voice. Happens to a lot of people. Don't worry about it too much. And when we get feelings, even that peaceful, warm, feeling that a lot of people often associate with God, that feeling can be triggered by a lot of things. Not only by a lot of other religions, people who believe in other religions, but also by non-religious things. So it could be, and probably is, something else causing these feelings that you might be mistaking as some kind of divine something. We also have signs. Are you seeing signs? Or are you looking around and interpreting things as signs? Are you kind of filtering them through this bias filter and twisting it and connecting it, trying to figure out some way to make it some kind of something from God? The human brain does a lot of stuff, and it's very easily tricked, and we've proven this throughout human history. It can get complicated, and it's very easy to perceive something as something else, even when it's not that something else. Another big issue is other people from other religions also claim to have some kind of connection with this entity or that entity, or even people who don't subscribe to a religion, who are just theistic in some way, maybe believe in this unique god or a pagan god or something like that. People claim to have interactions and experiences and hear the voice of other beings. So how it's people explaining the same experience that somebody explains when they say, I'm experiencing God, I'm having a interaction with God, an experience with God. Other people have that. So what are they having? And how do you know? Like, somebody could be having experience with this other God. What makes their experience less valid than yours when yours is the same? There's also even people who are claiming to communicate with your God and getting different answers and figuring things out differently and having different, being told different things. So what's going on? Is God trolling us? Is he talking to you, telling you this thing and telling somebody else this thing to confuse people? Is it Satan spreading lies? Or is it just the human brain trying to find meaning, trying to find purpose, trying to find guidance, trying to be special and thinking that has some kind of connection to some higher power, trying to make sense of the world around us and the universe around us and our feelings and our thoughts and all of this stuff? Is it just the brain doing brain stuff? And this is in no way, shape, or form bashing anybody who thinks that they're having some kind of experience with a supernatural entity, because it's very easy to have this. It's very easy to mistake this. Plenty of people do. All these other people having experiences, and they're having experiences with beings that you're not. So either Satan's corrupting them all, or I guess they're having this brain stuff experience and your experience is authentic. And if you want to say it's Satan deceiving them, you still got to do some work to give actual reason to believe that Satan exists and God exists and this God exists and that God doesn't exist. You got to do a little bit more work. You can't just plug it in. We don't have any solid evidence that this being exists, so we can't really use him to explain anything until we get past that first step. Meanwhile, we do have studies about the brain doing brain stuff and how it can be very, very complicated and tricky, and people can be easily manipulated or tricked or mistaken into believing something's happening when it perhaps isn't. So again, I'm not bashing you. I'm not bashing you if you think you're having some kind of interaction with God. I used to be the same way. I thought I had a good relationship with God, that he was communicating with me, guiding my steps. I prayed throughout the day, all day, every day, to make sure my steps aligned with his plan. I was completely in it. I understand how it works. I understand how it can be tricked. And like I said, a lot of people can do it. So it is no shame to you. I just want you to ask questions. I want you to sit down and think, is this really God speaking to me? And how do I know? And even if it's, maybe he is speaking to me, is he speaking to you in every single instance where you think he is? Like, evaluate it each and every time. Think critically. Be skeptical. It's okay, because if it is God, surely he can push through and prove himself to you and erase your doubts. Surely he can do that for you.